Hey everyone, this is Neon Polygons, and this video is going to be a bit different from my normal videos, as I want to focus on a store that is near and dear to my heart and local in my neighborhood. And this is a Hallmark Gold Crown here in Midtown East, New York City, and is in fact actually, uh, if not one of the last Hallmark stores in New York City, in all of New York City, but probably the last Hallmark Gold Crown store in New York City itself. And this store, unfortunately, is closing down, and so I'm kind of doing a tour of the store 2 days before it officially shuts down. And to me, as I kind of walk the store, and, again, this is kind of just for me personally, just doing a little bit of a narrative in terms of like small businesses, not just here in New York, but, across the country, and, what has changed you know, in past years and what we're missing out on. And for many people, when you think of a Hallmark, you're probably just thinking like, oh, it's a chain store, it's a franchise, what's the big deal of one of them closing down? Well, this Hallmark is actually a family run Hallmark. It's If you look it up on Yelp or on Google, it would come up as Amreen's Hallmark here in Second Avenue, New York City. And there's a different experience that you would have in a store like this, especially a card store. Um, and I'll go into a bit of those details as I kind of, show off this Hallmark, which is actually a two-story Hallmark. Had quite a bit of inventory. Had quite a lot of an incredible selection of gifts from all different ideas that you could possibly imagine for kids, for babies, for birthdays, for special occasions, for weddings, like you name it. They had it. But this Hallmark was special. This Hallmark was different. The staff here is incredible. They're amazing. They were, you could tell that, they weren't running this store for the sake of just like, look, we're going to have a store. The owners, Amrita and her husband, they actually named the store after their daughter, Amreen. And just the way how the owners and the staff, how thoughtful they are. It's such a different experience here in this Hallmark, and especially for you know the last Hallmark in Manhattan. Uh, it just had like a completely different vibe that you would get in any other type of card store. And nowadays, when you go to a card store like say like a Love Pop, and that's the owner right there that's walking by on screen. If you were to go to, let's say, like your typical stores at like Papyrus or a Love Pop or whatnot, they don't they don't have the same vibe or that same homely feel that a Hallmark would have, like a local family-run Hallmark would have. And I think about why this Hallmark is special, and this is, I guess, as I mentioned, my narrative in terms of what makes these stores different from your typical chain stores. And this Hallmark has been in the neighborhood for, I believe, almost 22 years, and I think the business itself, like, in a different iteration or location, has been in the area for nearly 4 decades. Um, and so personally, when I think about this Hallmark, and you don't realize it until it's gone. Um, as I was, when I found out that they were closing, it kind of dawned on me like how many memories that I have that were ingrained in the store, not just in the store, but like in my personal life. And I can relate so many moments because whether it was like my mom's birthday, a friend's passing, a wedding, uh, like so many different occasions, I would go to this Hallmark. Right? It was my local Hallmark, and I can't tell you like over like the past like 10 years how many cards I've bought here, and then always kind of searching for a card that could fit really like the mood or the message that I wish I could say, but I needed someone else to kind of, you know, express that. And, I think about, these big cards like, you're seeing here, and I purchased one of them. And that's because, like, again, at the time, my father lost his sight, and, I needed to get a big card, right? I don't know where you could get something like this anymore, like a big birthday card. And they always had, like, so much variety of big birthday cards. Um, and as I was kind of, walking this shop, it just dawned on me that, my gosh, so many memories that this store has been a part of, unknowingly been a part of. And unknowingly on my end, I had no realization at this store how big of a deal it played in these past few years in terms of, creating memories. And I feel, sad knowing that the store is closing, and because it's not just, again, like the convenience factor of the store and where I'm able to kind of get cards, but it's just knowing all these moments that have happened in my life and that I've shared with others. It was here in this Hallmark. It was from the genesis of a lot of them came from me buying a card at the store. And I'm gonna miss that. You don't really get that with chain stores now, like the Loves Pops and Papyrus card stores. Like it's not the same vibe. It's not the same feeling. It's not like a staff that's going to be there forever. Like most of the staff that you normally find at those stores are it's a turnover. It's like they're seasonal. They're there, and then they leave after they find something else. This store, this staff, they've been here my entire time in the neighborhood. They've been in here ever since I've, first visited this store. And when I hear the reason why this Hallmark is closing, it makes me both angry and sad at the same time. Essentially, this Hallmark lost their lease because the landlord wants to give it to a cannabis dispensary. And the community board does not want this cannabis dispensary to be here. There's two small elementary schools in the neighborhood. Um, and I have nothing against the cannabis dispensary. I have nothing against cannabis dispensaries in general. But the truth is, once this cannabis dispensary arrives, it's going to ruin the fabric of the neighborhood. It's, again, it's going to be tacky. It's going to ruin the vibe of all the other local small businesses in the area. And it's kind of going to be the genesis for something worse. And for me personally, like that's like a whole other set of issues with this dispensary coming here. But I'm just more saddened by the fact that this local small business Hallmark Gold Crown is leaving, and I want to just tell people who are watching this video to to really take a moment and appreciate the local small businesses in your neighborhood, and especially things like a Hallmark, things that we kind of take for granted in terms of, oh, it's we think of them as kind of just um, franchise stores, but in reality, these stores have a foundation in your community. They are the foundation of your community, and they provide more than just economic benefits. They really provide the lifeblood of a neighborhood, and you don't realize these elements until they're gone. And as I again walk this Hallmark before the days before it closes, I'm really gonna miss it. And it may seem like I'm making kind of just like a big deal out of a Hallmark closing, but I'm watching this and realize that, man, this is like 20 years of my life, 20 years of memories that I kind of created from this small business. And moving forward, it kind of hurts to know, like, where am I going to go just to buy something as simple as birthday cards, where a wide selection of cards that have a little bit more than just messages, but there's a sense of meaning to them, right? It's again, it's not the same with like other types of like, chains. In this store with its staff, its selection, its sense of home and vibe that it contained. You don't find that, right? You don't find that anywhere else. And yeah, like I'm really going to cherish the time I had with the store and cherish what I've been able to, purchase here, for my family and friends and, for myself. Coming here just made me feel really good. And it really hurts to see not just a small business close, but it really hurts to see like this staff, and the owners have to face this reality. And it's not fair. It's not fair. So, I leave you, as I, you know, in these closing seconds, I leave you with this that, again, appreciate the small businesses in your community. And for small businesses or small business owners that are watching, just realize that you mean a lot. You mean a lot to the community more than you realize, more than people probably will show you. Um, so to Armin's Hallmark and on Second Avenue here in New York, thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for the memories. You will be missed. You will always be greatly appreciated, and you'll always be home.